Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I wanted to use today's video to give you guys some background and some context as to why I started the channel, and ideally give you some ideas of what to expect going forward with the type of content we want to make. So I played golf my entire life up until the age of 21, 22 with the goal of playing professional golf. And at the very end there, I took a run at trying to play professionally. Obviously it didn't work out, but during that time I learned a ton about what it takes to improve at golf and how to really maximize the time you put in. So I think there's a lot of key learnings there that I'm going to try and apply to this channel. I'm going to try and do it through a different way. So this isn't just going to be a swing tip video of how to fix your slice or how to fix a hook. It's going to be a little bit different where I'm going to try and use myself and my friend Logan as sort of the example of we're going to do it. We're going to try and get better. I used to be about a +5 handicap. That was almost 10 years ago. So now I'm probably more like a 5 handicap. But I have every intention to really make a run at this and try and get back to at least the plus side. And really document and uncover that process for you so it actually shows you what it takes. So it's not just, this is what I did today, this is what I did next week, and try and do it for yourself, but I actually wanted to show the actual process so you guys could actually maximize your time and hopefully get better at golf. Last week, I played Angeles National. I think it's the toughest publicly available golf course in the greater Los Angeles area. I had no practice, no prep, didn't hit balls, didn't roll any putts, nothing ahead of it. I wanted it to be a true baseline test of where my game is at, and ideally to give it kind of like a raw view of what exactly I need to work on. So I have some videos and some clips and some images of the round that we're going to walk through that's going to dictate what I do going forward in this next training block. I'm also using Arccos data to try and attach some data to the actual work that we're doing so you can track the progress and we can actually show what works, what doesn't. And then the idea is I use that data, I use the information from this baseline round to set my training block going forward. So that's going to be a couple weeks of working on certain swing tips, a few weeks of working on specific things with my golf swing to try and help change and put myself in better position to hit the ball, as well as working on specific shots that I need to get better at. So we'll go through all of that right now, and that's going to dictate what we do in the training block. After the training block, we're going to have essentially every 3 months, we're going to have a big peaking type round where it's going to be ideally at a destination golf course or at least a really great golf course. So in July, we're going to be playing Pebble Beach and Spyglass. Pebble Beach is the main one, but I'll also be there to play Spyglass as well. The goal for that is to break par. Every 3 months, it's going to be essentially like my own personal major. And so ideally, we're going to set it up to where I have this baseline round, or in that case, in Pebble Beach, it'll be a big round, a big type of destination event for me. And then that will dictate what we do for the next couple months. I'll track all of it. I'll show all of it. I'll film everything I do. Hopefully make it in a way that's actionable for you guys and insightful. And that's going to be kind of the cadence and the point of the channel is for you guys to really see what the process looks like and how to actually improve. So let's start with the Arccos assessment here. Right here, you can see the top 3 insights and essentially the things that went well in my round at Angeles. So this is all based off of a scratch handicap. I'm assuming I'm basically a 5 handicap-ish right now. I played a little better than that, but I think over the next couple rounds that I play, it'll show out that I'm basically a 5 is the way I'm going to put it. So compared to a scratch golfer, I'm gaining 1.5 strokes off the tee, so with driving distance, meaning that I'm hitting it further, and that's providing me an advantage in my scoring. I think I was averaging, and here it said roughly 280. We'll get into some of the details, but not too far. But I think at least it puts me in a good spot to where without any real golf, I'm still able to generate some decent distance. Number 2 on there is driving accuracy, so gaining half a stroke in the round just based off of being fairly accurate. I am pretty happy with how I drove the ball. I think I still have some meat on the bone to hit the ball further, but I think I was relatively accurate. I put myself in really good positions. I know that course pretty well. Of course, I played a ton growing up, so I was, to my advantage at least. Now we can jump into some of the things to work on. I think the main takeaway here is short game and putting were atrocious. Back-to-back 3 putts, hit some terrible approach shots from around the green, trying to get up and down, where I didn't even really have a chance. It was just sort of a sloppy day around there, but that's fine. It's to be expected. I haven't played in forever, so that's one of those things that it's very detailed, very nuanced, and it just comes from reps. I just have to do it more. So I'm going to try and at least get out to some of these courses and just dedicate time to putting, and then maybe play a par 3 course, which I'll record and use that as wedge game and approach and some of these short shots to try and work on that. So that'll kind of be what we work on going forward. All right, next we have the golf swing. There are definitely some things I noticed in my swing from the round that have changed over the years. The big thing is I just noticed my mobility is not nearly as good just from getting stiff, not doing a ton of rotational work, from just not swinging the golf club. So lots of things to work on there. I think I have a few others that are a little bit more specific that we can get into. So as you can see here with my setup, you can kind of see my ball position there. This is a 4-iron. I was trying to hit it fairly low because it was, I think, 210 into the wind. It was one of my better shots of the day, but it's a little further back than I would like. Ideally should be kind of in that, on the left side of my chest, and that's basically dead middle. And I think I was doing that quite a few other times throughout the round. So that's just set up. As you can see, my grip there is a little weak, just meaning that it is rolled this way when it should be kind of rolled a little more neutral to this way. So I got to work on that. Those would be some things that are just cleanup that I got to just start paying more attention to as we hit balls and practice and play. Now this is where the ball position and some of the setup stuff can kind of have an effect. Right here, as you can see, I'm kind of curved back. Because of that ball is middle, I'm not really able to kind of get left and rotate. I kind of have to hang back and flip it a bit. Not a terrible position, but it's just, I need to be a little bit more on top of it, I think. And I noticed that with the driver too a little bit. So got to work on ball position, work on setup, a couple things to clean up there. All right, now we get to the backswing. As you can see here, the main thing I need to really focus on is this club position. My hands are a little bit too high, the arms are lifted up. What that ends up doing is it kind of creates a lot of space to where that club wants to drop, which gets me really stuck. And then as well, I am sort of getting a little bit overextended on that right leg. I can just see the weight is a little bit into that right heel and outside part of the foot versus the inside and front part of the foot, just being a little bit more loaded. And so that's putting me in a position where that club wants to really drop behind me and get stuck, and then puts me in a bad position to try and rotate through. And then jump to the next picture. I'm just very extended there. I kind of save it with my hands, but as you can see, I'm not really rotated. That right hip is shooting forward, kind of on the ball of my foot. So I got to do a better job of loading in the backswing and then keeping that foot down and rotating to stay in posture. And early extension, in my opinion, is the literal worst thing you can do in your golf game. It is just makes contact so inconsistent, face delivery so inconsistent. So that's really what I got to be working on. So now let's get into a little bit more details on the Arccos data of where my round was successful and maybe where are some things I need to work on. Right here, starting with driving. I gained 2 strokes this round just off the tee, as you saw from a second ago. Distance was a big part of it, fairly accurate, hit some fairways, some decent distance. This is something else I'm going to really work on going forward is like distance. I'm going to do some speed training sessions, which I'll record. 283 average distance isn't bad. I'm fairly happy with that. But I know there's a lot of meat left on the bone here to try and get more speed and more distance and really make this advantage an even bigger advantage. So I like where my driver's at. I think some of the swing changes I'll make will help improve that. But generally here, I think I want to just focus on the speed training to try and get this number up and make this advantage an even bigger advantage for me. Strokes gained approach. So this is essentially just hitting at the pin for my second shot, essentially. Outside 200 yards, I gained basically half a stroke. I hit some really great long irons into the pin. I think the into the wind 210 4-iron was probably one of my best approach shots I hit that day. Just putting it in the middle of the green from that far into the wind is a great shot. But where I lost is 100 to 150, lost 0.3 strokes. I think that one mostly came from that hole where I essentially fatted a pitching wedge from 130 something yards. That's you shouldn't do that. I should at least be on the green, but I shouldn't be fatting it, almost risk putting it in the water at that point. So not too bad. But overall, gained some strokes, so not bad at all from the approach side. I hit 13 greens in regulation at 72%. A scratch is going to be roughly 56. So that's great. I think part of that is knowing the course so well. I put myself in good positions off the tee, which put me in places to hit some decent shots into the pin. Now, where I do think I could improve is I didn't hit a ton of great shots. I just didn't hit a ton of bad shots. So I think the fact that I was just in the fairway so often and then able to just put it on the green most of the time kind of inflated these numbers. But I think to get where I want to go, I think I need to hit some better shots and really take advantage of those good positions and give myself easier birdie putts. I only had 2 birdies on the day, both on par 5s. So I think I could ideally get a little bit tighter with my yardages and a little bit more consistent. But overall, I'm pretty happy with this, just all things considered. Okay, short game, strokes gained. I lost basically a stroke just on this came from just some really sloppy up and downs. You know, you're not always going to get up and down, but I definitely did not put myself in position to really get up and down. Like I hit a couple to like 10 feet or more that just, you know, it's hard to go an entire round thinking I need to make 10 footers for par, especially when you're not even in bad spots green side. Like I don't think I was in a bunker other than that one long par three, which I hit a fine shot. Like that's a tough spot to be, is that like 35-ish yard bunker shot. So that one's not too bad, but a couple of the other ones where I missed the green, I just didn't even really give myself a good look to get up and down. Next piece, strokes gained putting, lost half a stroke. That's not even that bad. I kind of expected it to be worse, but you can see here, lost a stroke just from 0 to 10 feet. So I missed some, you know, moderate putts, I guess, within that distance that I should have at least made. Decent from 10 to 25. I think it's because I rolled in a couple in that like 11-foot range, but lost half a stroke basically from 25 to 50. And those were the 3 putts. And again, like you're going to have some 3 putts from time to time, but both of those 3 putts, I didn't even really give myself a good look at in the second putt. Like I think I didn't even hit it to 10 feet basically, which is just outrageous. Like I need to be even closer to that. So ultimately I got to get better at putting. I think it just comes down to reps. Like you can work on your stroke, but ultimately it comes down to just putting a lot and getting a good feel for distances and lags and reading. And it just comes down to doing it more than anything. I felt like I was starting them on my line pretty well, but I just, you know, the pacing was struggling all day. I think I missed at least 2 birdie putts that I should have made. I hit it right down the line, but I left them short, which that's just unacceptable. So I think putting in general is going to get better just from doing it more and developing a better feel and putting in more time. Okay, now we get into the training plan. I think what I'm going to do here for the next 2 months, 2.5 months up until Pebble Beach. We did my baseline round, check. Coming up, we're going to focus on the golf swing. So a couple of things that I walked through there a minute ago, just in terms of what I'm going to work on. We're going to kind of break it up into setup, backswing, and then downswing. I don't know the order yet of how we're going to do this, just because I think early extension is really hard to fix, and I think it's going to take the most time, and I don't want to go into Pebble Beach trying to fix my early extension with like 2 weeks to go. Ideally, I'd like to get as much time on that as possible. Backswing and setup, that's just going to be, I think, something that's going to be not too super hard to fix. And I can get pretty comfortable pretty quickly, but the early extension and delivering delivering the club face into impact is really important, and it's probably the hardest thing to change and get comfortable doing. So I'm going to probably do that one first, if not second. And then we're going to do a speed training block. Once I feel like my swing is in a stable place where I'm kind of happy with it and I can hit some decent shots, and I'm not going to make too many changes, I think I'm going to really focus in on the speed training and try and get in at least like 1 session, 2 sessions a week where we're trying to get that number up as good as we can. And that leads to phase 2, which is the final phase, which is essentially just the lead up to Pebble. Part of that is I'm not going to be making swing changes. If I am, it's going to be very small stuff, but nothing major, nothing too big. Because at that time, once you're leading up to one of these big rounds and you're making big changes, you're really putting yourself at risk to getting lost, losing the feel, not being able to at least manage if you have a bad day. Because ideally, it's hard to control whether or not you're going to play your absolute best in a round like this, but there are certain things you can do to set yourself up to avoid the really bad days. And obviously, Pebble Beach is a destination trip. You know, I've played Pebble Beach once before, a long time ago. It's been a long time since, obviously, and I want to make the most of it. That doesn't mean I have to play my absolute best golf, but I want to at least be in a position where I'm not playing my worst. And so part of that is making sure I have a good feel for my swing. I know what to expect. And then in that lead up, I'm working on executing shots with that swing. And so first thing is going to be short game and putting. That's obviously the biggest area I need to work on, and making sure that I'm at least in a position to get a lot of reps in. And on the day I can give myself a chance to make some decent birdie putts and avoid 3 putts ideally. Next piece is going to be the go-to driver swing. I want to make sure that I have a comfortable shot off the tee where I am not hitting the ball out of bounds. So if I'm playing my best golf, great, I don't have to worry about it. But if I'm having a tougher day, I'd like to at least have a shot off the tee that keeps me from going out of bounds, puts me in a playable position to where, I'm somewhere around the fairway or in the fairway, and I'm in a place to where I can get on the green or around the green and really mitigate those big numbers that kind of ruin your round. So for me, that means avoiding the left side of the golf course. From the round at Angeles, I missed kind of both ways, which I don't like to see. For me, I don't want to see the left miss. I'd like everything to be either down my line or right. So I think developing that driver swing and some of the things I'm going to work on with my actual golf swing will help get me there. But I think that's really important on those really tough holes, those tough shots where you know, there's out of balance in different spots, and you want to at least just get one in play to where you can then get on the green or around the green. I think that go-to driver swing is really important, and I think it helps eliminate those high-end big numbers. And then we're going to basically at the very end really work a ton through the iron approach shot. So making sure I'm testing my yardages on every single club to where I know exactly how far to expect it to go. I think a lot of times people have a number that they think they can hit, and then there's the number they actually hit. And so I think having those dialed in numbers are really important to make sure that, okay, if I'd love to hit my 7-iron 185, but if all of a sudden in the week or 2 weeks leading up to it, I'm hitting it 175 repeatedly, then I got to adjust my number and make sure that I go into it knowing exactly what to expect. And then you play the game that you have. You don't try and play your best game. You play whatever you got and try and make the most of it on the day. And then if there are things you got to improve, then that's what we're going to do in the training block. And so that'll be the lead up. I'm going to try and play some rounds over the next couple months just to see how my game is, you know, taking shape, what's sticking, what's not, what I got to work on. And part of it is I just haven't played a lot of rounds of golf. There is something to be said about actually playing golf where you have to hit shots that matter versus just being on the driving range, letting it rip. Actually having to execute shots and hit certain numbers, like actually, you know, that matters. And so I think playing more rounds of golf is something I really need to do to make sure that on the day I can swing freely. And then I'm going to have like a retest type of round at the very end, right up before Pebble, as like a way to like see where my game is at. And then we play Pebble, the big test. I'll film that round. My wife will be there to help record the whole day. And then we'll use that round essentially to dictate the next training block. So we'll do another video like this after that one, breaking down the round, what kind of stood out, what worked, what didn't, what we're going to work on for that next training block, and then we'll kind of rinse and repeat and do this again. So ideally throughout this channel, you're going to watch some entertaining golf content on some great golf courses, but my goal is for you to learn along the way and feel like, okay, you're actually learning things that help you maximize your game and get better. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you get something out of it.